Mira Business FM, your daily guide to the markets, money, and more.
It's the morning drive. Welcome to an hour, or just under an hour, of real estate discussion, and perhaps, if you're really lucky, some discussion on the Winter Olympics, which we have just been discussing in some depth. Do you know what? Mario Volpi, Senior VP Investment Advisory, Allegiance Real Estate, guest this morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. We're just discussing curling there, which is a fascinating sport, I think. But my observation about the Winter Olympics is I'm really getting into snowboarding, which I've never even skied, to be honest with you. I've never done any kind of winter sport. Some water sports and some summer sports, but never winter sports. But I'm really getting into the snowboarding, and I was watching is it snowboard cross? I think it is, where four people race at this over this kind of windy course. It was fantastic the other week.
I haven't seen snowboarding. I've seen that other thing,
the half pipe.
No, I can't remember what they call it, but it's when they ski down and there's so many bumps and all their knees are just going up and down, and I'm thinking that cannot be good for your back.
That can't be. Or your knees.
Or your knees, and then they have to do a somersault, and then of course they fall over. Look, I've only been as an Italian, you'd think I'd been skiing all the time. I've actually only been twice.
Really?
Loved it, but I did do my own knee in, because the body is don't go on a black run. The mind says, let's try it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it was good.
That's the super fast. But
the black runs are like very, very steep and what have you. But I saw in Courmayeur there was a massive avalanche as well, and people were just looking at it, and then they got completely covered, and I think some people got quite injured. Yeah. As well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Courmayeur is in Italy as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a remarkable thing. I've been really enjoying it. I just, the curling thing that you were talking about.
Curling is hilarious, isn't it?
Was remarkable. So the guy just nudged it with his finger.
Yeah, so there was a controversy, I think it was between the Canadian team and I'm not sure who the other team was, but they were accused of cheating, where, they pushed the stone on the handle, but then with his finger, he sort of nudged it, and you can definitely see he does it. Now, I don't know, maybe that's not allowed, but as we were discussing off air, this sort of heavy stone, as they call it, on ice, you've got to get it on a very small target, 60, 70, 80 meters down the path, as it were. Let the man push it with his finger. I mean, is it really going to make that difference? I don't know.
Maybe it's just not the done thing in curling. Maybe it's kind of anti-curling etiquette in some way. Do you know, I watched a show about how they make curling stones. Okay. And they attach the kind of handle to it, but the way they buff them and shine them, and it's from that one piece of, I forget what it is, it's granite, whatever it is. So, and I need to get out more, don't I?
You do, but I think it's about your Scottish roots, really, because
do you think so?
Well, because it's so cold in Scotland, probably that's all they do is do a bit of curling.
Yeah, I am looking forward to some bowling, some lawn bowls.
You're just getting old, aren't you?
I am, yeah, happily
bowling
so as well.
And that's not even 10-pin bowling for the listeners. We're talking green bowls.
No green, and I'm going to have the boater
jacket and everything,
and the whole bit, and in the summer I'll be there.
With your Pims.
Yeah, that'll be me.
Nice.
Thanks. Yeah, and you're welcome to join me.
Shall we talk real estate?
Let's talk about some real estate. I was just fascinated by your curling conversation. This is not even me. This was you and Farage, who is normally buying and selling stocks behind 3 monitors.
Instead of doing work.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know, I was interested in your article last week, because I think this is you in the National, all right? And you... every week you answer questions, 1, 2, 3. It depends how many questions come in, I guess. But this is a person, and here's the question. My family and I originally moved to Dubai on what we thought would be a 3-year plan. And I thought, I was kind of the same. It was a 2-year plan.
Yeah.
Nearly a decade later, this person says, we're still here, children in school, careers established, we've built a full life. We're now debating whether to keep renting or finally buy a home. And this person says to you, what are your thoughts on what's been going on in our heads for a while now? Has Dubai shifted from being a short-term posting destination to a place where people are starting to settle long-term? And it kind of hit me. And your response, I thought, was really interesting, because you're really seeing that change, aren't you?
I am. And also I have to say that you've just echoed it, that it's happening to you. It happened to me, and it resonated with me. My posting, for want of a better word, or my decision to come and stay here in Dubai only was perhaps in the near future, 2-3 years, a bit like yourself. and 17, 18 years later, you're still here, and that's just testimony to how the city, the emirate has advanced, or the Emirates as a whole have advanced in terms of getting families to put roots down. I mean, I first remember when I came here, I didn't see any old people, or I didn't notice older people. They were all youngsters in the malls and things like that. And the only old people you would see were perhaps grandma and grandpa who would come to visit the grandkids, and they're just here on holiday. But even that's shifted as well. You see more older people because they've made it easier for people to perhaps retire here, as long as you've got the money and the way to do that with these different visas. So when this email came in, it really did resonate with me. And I do believe now that, you can see that certainly from jobs, that it's not, it hasn't been a hardship posting, as I call it, for a while, but, 20 years ago, people would have to be enticed to come and work in Dubai. So they would offer not just the salary, but accommodation, perhaps schooling, medical, because at the time it wasn't necessarily mandatory. So there were lots of perks. And those things started to disappear, down the years as I was here. And you could actually see that because people were choosing to come to Dubai, even if it was for a short period, the benefits, if you like, of before to entice you to come here were starting to be eroded away. But I'm sure that there were many people out there who, they rent to start off with, because first of all, you need to see if you like the job, if you like what you're doing, if you like the city, and it's easier if you do that from a renting point of view. But the only thing I would say is that, if anybody is here longer than say 5 years, or plans to be here longer than 5 years, it makes more sense to buy rather than to rent. Obviously, renting is a quick release, or a quicker release, and if situations happen. But then even if life happens when you own a property, doesn't mean you have to actually sell it. You can always keep it and rent it and have an investment if life takes you into a different direction. So yeah, I was able to answer that question from a personal perspective as well. And definitely recommend to people to buy rather than to rent in the long term, because if you're buying to live in it, it doesn't matter. I've always said it doesn't matter what marketplace you're in, whether it's a rising market, a declining market, because you're buying it for the reason of living in it. And as long as it is a longer term that you're going to hold on to it, eventually, you will, because you do make money on properties, because prices go up, prices go down, markets move, markets shift. But as long as you keep it long enough, then you do obviously win out in the end.
It seems like an obvious point, but you're right, because, whether, if you own something, you would have been paying the rent anyway, so you might as well. So the logic, it's pretty straightforward. It was just your first response to the question that got me was, and I'll quote it back to you, this question captures one of the most significant transformations I've witnessed in Dubai's property market.
Because, as I say, people were coming to Dubai for a short period of time. Dubai was never a place that you were going to come, raise a family, and I'm talking about expats now. Come, raise a family, build a career, and it's that fundamental change that I have seen in friends as well. My own friends who have, as I say, built careers. Sometimes they've had to obviously move jobs, but sometimes when something comes to an end, the other thought would be, oh, well, that's it, I'll just go back home. No, they want to continue with their life here in Dubai, and they want to make it even better. And sometimes when you do change a job, whether it's voluntary yourself or it's forced upon you, the opportunities here are endless, and it just opens another door. Just to give you an example, my wife was also in real estate. She was 15 years as a rentals director. And when I came here in 2008, quickly, 2 months later, 3 months later, the market crashed. And obviously it was not a good place from the point of view financially. Nobody wanted to buy anything. I always jokingly say we couldn't give things away, yet alone, try to sell them. And she said to me, because the first few months she didn't work, she said, "Oh, shall I get into real estate?" By then it was 2009, and really we were gripped by the financial crisis, which was a world crisis, I know, but I just said, no, don't do it. I mean, the whole thing's a zoo. I mean, when I tell you of all the stories that happened, you would understand why I say that. So she said, well, I've got to do something, and she decided to go into education. Now, she has no qualifications in education. I'm not talking about going to be a teacher,
Right.
Obviously administrative work, whatever, with the view that she could keep an eye on our daughter. So that's how, that was the motivation. So our daughter went to school. Of course, working for a school, I think you get some discount as well. I'm not sure whether you do it then. Then you would get discount on the fees if you worked for the school. So that was an added bonus. But it meant that she had not so much the time off like the school, because obviously as an admin worker, you still have to work in the school even when the school is shut. But the point I'm trying to make is that her career was real estate.
Yeah.
And Dubai gave her that opportunity to, dare I say, change career. And she then worked for 13, 14 years in education in completely different roles, from parent relationship officers to administration to receptionist. And then at the end, she was actually a teaching assistant, which at the time you didn't have to have those sort of qualifications. I believe now you have to have certain qualifications even to be a teaching assistant, which again is right. Her qualification was being a mum, and I think that often is probably the best qualification anyway.
It's not a bad qualification to have, that's for sure.
But Dubai offers, the point I'm saying, Dubai offers you that opportunity that if you want to pivot, or if you want to sort of at least try something different, at least it did. Today, obviously, you have to have degrees, you have to have certification. I'm not saying, I fancy being a brain surgeon, let me go and do it. And that's not obviously what I'm talking about here.
I'm not letting you loose on my head.
Just to clarify, in case anybody was thinking of doing something like that. But I think I've made my point.
It's a really good point, actually, because there's an element of, the attitude that we see here, that you're allowed kind of reinvention, if you like, and you can try new things. But it's a mentality that maybe I didn't grow up with. I come from maybe a background where you did a job and you stuck in that job, and actually you don't need to. And Dubai kind of fosters that, which I think is a good thing. It's one of the many good things about here. It's funny, yes, I was on Reddit yesterday. I had a thing through the email, and it was people responding to things. And it was a guy talking about Dubai, really negatively.
From here, or?
No, had come for a conference or something, and said, while I was here, and made this statement, and I thought, what? I had to wear a wristband while I was here to show that I wasn't a resident. Some guy from somewhere had come to a conference, and I'm thinking, you may have had to wear a wristband because you were at a conference to get into a conference, but I've never heard that before. So I thought, no, that's just, have your opinion on a place, and that's all fine, because it is, we've all got opinions, right, and that's fine, but don't lie, don't make stuff up. But even worse, if you think that your wristband is because you're not a resident, maybe you're not smart enough to attend a conference. I mean, I just thought, this is ridiculous. So I wrote back, so I'm waiting for hate mail to come in at the moment. But it just sort of struck me that...
Well, surely you would have a lot of people agreeing with you. Rather than...
perhaps, but there are, keyboard warriors everywhere. What do you do? People like to have a pop. And that's fine, and you have the right to do that. But I just kind of felt, no, at least get your facts straight. But, there are a lot of people that have perceptions of places and people, and, and it's just, I hate you because I think it's the right thing to do, and very odd.
Yeah, no, there's so much misinformation online, on Instagram. I sometimes see reels and people purporting to be experts on things when actually they don't know what they're talking about at all. And if they back things up with facts and figures and the truth, okay, fine, the opinions are there. But I also don't like it when you see that, and I often go straight to the comments. But the people are always putting straight, like, get your facts straight, mate, or
Well, a lot of people did.
That's not correct at all, and what
But a lot of people were kind of agreeing, oh, it's this and it's that, and this is what I think, and I thought, well, it's kind of uninformed.
No, they're just jumping on the bandwagon to have something to say without having the information, which is why I always say do your due diligence in anything, especially when you're going online, especially when you're trying to double check things. I mean, now people go on to ChatGPT rather than necessarily Google. I'm not saying Google was any better than ChatGPT, but it's not always correct, but it's super polite as well. It writes back to you saying, when have you ever told ChatGPT off? When I say tell it off, you say no. Now that's wrong.
Have I ever told it off? No, I've not. That's not something.
No, because I've tested it. I've tested it on something, and it came back about rental laws actually.
Okay.
And look, I know laws are evolving and changing all the time, but when you are spurting out a load of nonsense,
True.
Then I sound really weird now because I'm arguing against a robot, right?
It's not even a robot.
Well, I don't know. What is it? What is
it's an LLM. It's a
LLM. Now, stop being technical. I mean, what's that?
It's a big learning model. It's the name for the kind of the back office, if you like, and it's just. I can't even describe it.
Well,
it's not even a robot that kind of walks around.
I know it's not. I know it's not like a physical humanoid, but I'm dumb, but I'm not that dumb, Anyway, but I also sometimes I put please and thank you in there. But can you please?
That's a really interesting point because I think you should do that. I do that. And
but that's kind of just me. And after I've sent it, I thought, do I need to be that polite to AI, whatever? But then when it comes back with something totally wrong, and I know it's totally wrong, I said, no, that is definitely wrong. I mean, the other day I put into ChatGPT, I wanted to know what it thought the prediction was against a Chelsea match. I think we spoke about that, and it was saying, oh yeah, but so and so player isn't playing because he's on the bench. We sold him 2 seasons ago. Why are you telling me that? That is the bit I'm sort of saying that it's nonsense.
Some of it is.
So if you use ChatGPT, to do your work, that's not right. Use your brain. If you want it to double check something, write all what you've written and just ask it to maybe polish it a bit. That, I think, is where it comes into. But I think most people actually using ChatGPT to actually cut corners and do their work.
This is the thing. And we were talking about this yesterday. We had a debate yesterday on here with a lady who was a child psychologist, a parent child psychologist, and a parent... what was her
parent relationship
parent
officer?
Relationship manager, that kind of person, and an AI guy. And the argument was because of the ruling that you can't use ChatGPT, generative AI, in schools before kids are 13.
So, right, amazing.
So year 7 on, it's okay. So that's a ruling in the UAE. It's a conservative ruling, but actually you can see the logic behind it because it does allow for the possibility of, enhanced.
The thing is, we hardly use our brain as it is. We only use sort of 10% of it, apparently. I mean, if this carries on, then we won't even be using that. So
it's interesting, actually, because I lived in a villa in Media City for a long time, very long time. And in the summer, this was an old villa, and it wasn't particularly well insulated. So it was obviously leaking, cold air during the summer. And the bills in the summer were really high. I mean, really high. I then moved to another house, similar size, a little bit smaller, which was brand new. And the bills were about a quarter.
Significantly less.
Significantly less. I mean, an awful lot less. And I've moved to another place since then, which is fairly well insulated, a lot more modern, not as new as the new house that I moved into, but the bill's significantly less. It's a slightly smaller place. So, the point I think I'm making is that, technology and building standards has improved a great deal. So that's one thing I would know. But unless it's you've got some kind of reference from a previous owner, I'm not sure what you do with that. I'm not sure what you do anywhere, to be honest with you.
I mean, even if you're talking about previous things, even when a landlord, is insisting on a certain number of checks, I would say if somebody has been renting for a while, get a reference from your previous landlord, and you can then also use that in your negotiation skills to say, look, here I am, I've been a good tenant, here's a reference on me, as it were. It may or may not help, but it's something different. And when landlords are wary of their tenants, and that's why they push for the one check payment, because then there is no hassle. It doesn't matter what you are or who you are. I've got my money. Whereas, something like that could stand you in good stead, unless, of course, you're using these schemes where there are 12 payments being made for the tenant, but the landlord has received his one check. Sort of these loans, if you like, that they add interest. So you are paying in 12 checks, you're just paying a little bit more. Yeah. That's how they make their money. But that institution has paid the landlord in one check, so kind of everyone's happy.
Well, you're an advocate of that, aren't you? The relationship with the landlord.
100%, because I lived it. I lived it with this particular. And I know I have to perhaps give a bit of a caveat here. I have invested in Dubai, okay?
Right.
But I've only ever lived in places where I've rented, which sounds really weird because here I am pontificating to everybody. You got to buy this, you got to buy that, and I'm in rented accommodation.
Okay.
If you're here longer than 5 years, you should buy.
I did see that.
So I want to sort of, that's my caveat. I have invested, I have bought, I have sold. So I've dabbled I practice what I preach. But when it comes to renting, because my industry, I suppose, was so volatile, especially in 2008, 2009, well, definitely 2009, 10, 11, and then again from 14 all the way to COVID times. Volatile in the sense that I wasn't sure whether I would have a job tomorrow, because the market can pivot very, very quickly. So that's why I always chose to rent rather than to sell. To buy. Yeah. And so that relationship that I had with this particular landlord, and we were together for several years. Too many that I care to mention.
We were together.
Well, as a landlord and tenant relationship, Tim.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But what was good about it is that there were times where I didn't ask him what I was going to pay. I told him.
Okay.
I said, I want to renew, and I'm going to be paying you this, and I'm going to be paying you in 12 checks. But I was able to do that once I gave that foundation and that I delivered on my promises previously. So when I was able to, for example, pay in one check, I could have easily kept my mouth shut because he was quite used to receiving 12 checks. No, I picked up the phone and I said, first of all, I said, are you sitting down? And he said, yeah, why, what's up? It was a lovely gentleman from Oman. Right. And I said, I'd like to renew and I'm going to pay you in one check. And he was absolutely overjoyed because
did he fall over?
No, he was in his chair.
Oh, good.
So he didn't. The good news was for me is that he was also in real estate, but in Oman. So he kind of understood when the market wasn't great, when we were struggling, when it was difficult. So I was able to have that relationship, that business relationship with him. That meant more often than not, I got my way. He was forever trying to sell the apartment, and I kept saying, sell one of the others. And I managed to sell all his portfolio before he decided to finally sell the one I was living in. Manipulation. But I did sell my own property. Well, I sold my own home, if you like, to a family that then wanted to obviously move in. So that's why I had to vacate. Otherwise, even if a property is sold with a tenant in situ, it doesn't matter if the buyer, wants to rent it. You can stay on. But they wanted to move in, so he did give me the 12 months notice.
See, it's a good thing to get across, I think, because landlords are people too. Landlords have a life. They're not just for Christmas. But I think we kind of forget. Landlords are painted very often as they're the big bad man in the background that just wants your money.
Yeah.
And that's very often not the case. These are people that have made an investment, they've spent their money, and some landlords, believe it or not, are decent.
They are, but I do want to say there are some terrible landlords.
Of course there are.
But there are also some terrible tenants.
Quite
so
right.
let's balance that up. What you're saying is 100% correct.
Yeah.
Everyone tars everyone with the same brush.
They do.
And the reason they do that is because there are really some terrible, terrible, terrible landlords. But there are more good landlords, I think, than there are terrible ones. But it's the bad ones that obviously you hear about, and that's why everyone tars everyone with the same brush.
Yeah.
But like I say, there are some absolutely diabolical tenants as well. I mean, I had one guy who contacted the agency because the premises were fully managed, and believe it or not, he actually, well, for me, I thought it was ridiculous. His lights didn't work, or a light in the living room didn't work anymore, and he called the maintenance in, and it just needed a new light bulb, So
Okay.
there's being precious as well.
Yeah.
Could he have got up a ladder? Could he have just checked? Could he? But he just decided, it's being managed. It's not my problem. Change it. I've paid my rent. Fair enough. But there's a little bit of give and take. This is what I'm trying to say. You can follow the line of the law, but it's super important to find that common ground, because there'll come a time where you will definitely need that. And if you've been reasonable with your landlord to start off with, he'll then, should in theory, be reasonable with you. And that's what I mean about the business relationship.
No, that's right. I mean, it's the idea of the relationship that I think a lot of people maybe don't, try to cultivate with
Also,
landlords.
different nationalities and different cultures, it doesn't help that certain people behave in a certain way, I guess, because either that's how it is, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's just how it is. But when you then put that to someone who it's totally not how it is, that's where you get the clashes. Going back to my own landlord, I remember I was paying his service charges for him through the rent, because it was, at the end of the day, it's paying Peter giving to Peter to pay Paul. It doesn't matter; it's all the same thing. But I was helping him because he wasn't here in Dubai. That was at the time when things were not online, by the way. So he physically had to come with the check and what have you. So I assisted him in making his life easier. And that then reaped benefits to me, because in the end, when I then wanted something, I was able, not necessarily to say, I did that for you. You didn't even have to say that. If there were any maintenance issues, I just got on and did it. And so when it was too expensive, yes, I would involve him. But honestly, there is the rule of a certain amount of certain dirhams is the responsibility of the landlord, and certain for the tenant. But I just got on with it. It's because it's your home. It's not your property, it's your home. And half the time, by the time you've got hold of the landlord, by the time he's agreed, the problem's either exacerbated or you've just dealt with it. It's just deal with it. Or contact the landlord and say, look, I have a problem. I will deal with it. I'll inform you later, just to update them. Because it's important that also the landlord knows what you're doing.
Yes.
Because if I went ahead and did all this maintenance stuff, and I never talk to the landlord probably thinks I'm amazing and that his place is amazing and nothing ever goes wrong with it. No, it's also important to just communicate. But by the way, it's okay, I've dealt with it. Carry on with your life. And people appreciate that.
Yeah. No, it is, to all intents and purposes, kind of a partnership.
Correct.
That you're working on. Carl texts, question coming, I think, but he's just commenting on your glasses, which
I've
don't have
taken
on
off.
at the moment, actually.
Well,
but he's enjoying the shine today.
Yes, I've polished them up. To make sure
You polished your rims.
No, just the lenses.
The lenses.
Yeah, so I could see through them.
Fantastic. And then is this Henna, I think, text. I watched your Instagram reel last week about tokenization, which was put together after the show. Honestly, I still don't understand it. Can you explain tokenization in simpler terms?
Okay, so forget the word tokenization. Just think fractional ownership.
Fractional ownership, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So when people buy a property, it tends to be one person or an entity. It could be a company. But one person buys a property from another person. Fractional ownership, tokenization, is the ability to buy a portion of that property, whether it's half of it, a quarter of it, an eighth, and so on. So the more it's divided up, the more people are able to buy into it. I'm not sure what the actual numbers are. What's the maximum? Whether it is 16, 32, I'm not sure. Yeah. But the fact is, so for Henna, you can actually say that it's the ability to buy a bit of real estate that then means you can afford that bit. The returns are based on your bit or on your part. And so if you buy 100% of it and it goes up, you get 100% of the return. If it's a 50-50 ownership, like often it is in marriages and what have you, then you own 50% of it and you benefit from 50% of the return, and so on. So hopefully that makes it sound a bit easier. You're just buying a portion of the real estate rather than the whole. And in doing so, when we discuss this, you're just opening up the market to everyone, really, because you can invest in as little as, I think there was one says 500, one says 2,000, depending on which platform you're using.
Yeah.
So you can say with as little as 500 dirhams or £100 or something like that is worth investing in. Now, of course, your returns aren't going to be stellar if you're only 500 dirhams in. But listen, better that than spending it on a brunch that you've then lost your money and that's it. At least it's there.
Well, it's a start, isn't it?
Start.
That's the thing. I mean, think of it as I suppose think of it as a pie, and everybody takes a slice of that pie and shares it. I mean, that's kind of the idea. Hopefully that helps, Henna. Benny, sorry, Tim, I don't usually listen to your show.
Has he apologised to you?
Thanks, Benny. just try harder. I just saw it now on YouTube, and see, Mario's your guest. I listen to his podcast, his Dubai Property Podcast, regularly. He has a topic there about selling London property to buy in Dubai. That's different for me. I'm thinking of moving back to London from Dubai and to try a real estate career there. Honest advice.
Nice.
Is that a good move?
I like it. Well, the first thing I can tell you is I'm actually doing the same. Not moving there, but my wife is there, my daughter's there, she finished uni, and we are buying a property in London for her, as it were.
Yeah.
And what I have found, this is Benny, did you say?
Benny, yeah.
What I found that Benny should, depending on where in London, obviously London's a big place, Greater London, all the rest of it, but what I found is that Chelsea, Westminster, many parts of London, Fulham as well, so West London, and I'm sure the others, I'm not necessarily including South London, I'm talking about areas that were perhaps quite pricey at first, have definitely come down in price, and they've come down in price because of the non-dom tax changes. And so a lot of people have actually sold. So now all of a sudden, these, dare I say, West London areas that were always eye-wateringly expensive have started to look, I'm not going to say cheaper, but certainly better than they were. So in terms of him buying in London, I would wager that he should be okay. There's enough stock to sort of look at, depending on what he is looking at, of course. But there should be enough stuff there, and it's affordable. Now, when it comes to real estate career, obviously what he doesn't say is, was he doing real estate here?
Doesn't say that.
But if you've done real estate in London and you've done real estate here, I have to say the two are very, very different. The first thing I'm going to tell you is that certainly the pace of life here in Dubai is extremely fast. The market is extremely fast. London, it's not as fast.
Right.
So you're able to, as a buyer, you're able to make informed choices. You can take your time to a point. That doesn't mean that there aren't more than one people going for a property. The place we actually ended up buying, there were 2 or 3 people, and we had to give our best and final bids. So there is still that bit of competition depending on the unit. But certainly the pace of life is different. So if he's coming from here and used to here, and he still uses the same work ethic here in London, then I think he'll kill it. Because honestly, I'm not saying they're sleepy town, because there will be agents out there who are on the ball and they're sharp and all the rest of it. But there's not so many agencies that don't pay a salary over there. They do pay a salary. And so what I'm trying to say is agents, which it is a good thing, also they're less cutthroat. The competition is high there, but it's not as high as Dubai. I mean, it's unreal here. So I think it should be exciting. If he's never done it before, then just ensure that you go to a company that gives good training, good backing, and all the major companies will do that. My daughter just joined Savills, funnily enough, from an administration point of view, which means that, she always said, I'm never going to get into real estate. I hate real estate, because you and mummy and what. I said, well, she's got the bug. There you go. Once an agent, always an agent. But
you're creating a dynasty.
Well, I don't know about that, but certainly, I think for Benny, it should be quite exciting. Of course, a bold move going back into, dare I say, the taxation system. So, he better earn a lot of money because the government's going to take a lot off him. But it's also, I guess, about different qualities of life. London offers a quality of life that is perhaps more grounded, but more dangerous, with all the crime and all the rest. So, look, we could talk about this for hours. It's just an opinion, but certainly I think he'll be able to buy something for sure, and he should do well if he's used to working here in a certain way, because in London it might be a tiny bit slower.
There you go, Benny. Kennedy, any advice? My wife and I plan to buy a property in Dubai, 2-bed unit. Should we buy near the metro? We fear oversaturation or lower value in the long run, or in less popular areas now, which may develop in the future. And if you think that's the option, can you give us a less popular area now?
So, look, buying a property, if you're buying it to live in it, then what's important is what's important to you. Of course, any investment you buy, even to live in it, is an investment that one day you'll have to sell. So, of course, you need to understand what might be attractive to somebody else. And of course, the closer you are to transport links, the closer you are to facilities and amenities, then the better. But all these developers really, apart from transport comes with government, comes with municipality, etc. They are building all these projects with lifestyle in mind. So everything will be there. There are projects where schools are part of it, hospitals are part of it, clinics, retail, parks, water, green. They tend to have everything. Now, if he's looking at something older, which obviously didn't have all those things, then yes, transportation is very important. So, if a metro is important to him, but he is looking for, let's say, future capital appreciation, personally, I think the best area, and we talked about this before, it's your old area, which is called Jumeirah Garden City, which was the old Al Satwa.
Yep.
Now, when you say Satwa, to certain people, negative connotations come to mind, as in, oh, that's not a very nice area. Now, again, the usual thing is, don't say that unless you've lived there, and I know you were very happy there.
Oh, I love Satwa.
But it's it's not downtown, it's not DIFC, is it? However, it is very close to those areas, and that's why I'm suggesting that if he's looking for a 2-bed, first of all, you've got 3 metro stations on the other side of the road, okay?
True.
You're not a million miles away from the beach, which is obviously a bit further up.
True.
You've got the Dubai Loop coming next year, which is going to be an underground transportation system that will link up all of that area with DIFC, with downtown, with Business Bay. And again, it's just going to make moving around the city, even in the summer, much, much easier.
Yep.
DIFC 2, or son of DIFC, is also coming. They're enlarging DIFC. DIFC is already a very popular, successful business district. And to make it even better means more people are going to be working there. And these people have to live somewhere. So that's why I'm saying that central area of Jumeirah Garden City today may not be what people are looking for, because it's pretty much a building site. They are redeveloping a lot. But if he's looking longer term, in 5 years' time, it's going to look totally different, and it will be a lot more expensive than it is today. So that would be my take.
There you go, Kennedy. Karishma's just talking about Jumeirah Garden City. Used to live there, left because of all the construction. I thought it was going to be crowded soon. Now I want to move back, says Karishma, backing up everything you say. Not really a question, you just got me confused on where to live. But no, I mean, I'm completely with you. I love Southwood. December the 2nd Street, one of my favourite streets, I've got to say. Union House at the end. I just always like liked it. Mario Volpi is. We didn't get to many of the topics that I said today. By
Well,
the
we
way.
talked
we
nonsense,
did
didn't we? No, we talked a lot of nonsense about the Olympics and things.
Well,
and ChatGPT.
I thought there was some rather informed curling entertainment there earlier, but
I loved it.
nonsense it might be. Senior VP Investment Advisory, Allegiance Real Estate podcaster, and columnist at the National, Mario Volpi. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.